Hello and welcome to the channel Fabrico. Today we're going to sew a shacket. It's a shacket of a straight cut with a central fastener with buttonholes and buttons and a removable belt. There are patch pockets and flaps on the front in the chest area. There are welt pockets in the lower part. The shacket features a turn-down collar, long sleeves with cuffs, back with yoke. You can download this pattern in a PDF format. Please find the link below the video in the description box. To sew this shacket, you need coat fabrics of medium density, also interfacing, lining and buttons. Let's go sewing. We start with welt pockets. Transfer the location of the pockets to the front parts. Fold welts in half, wrong sides inward, and press them. Stitch the bottom pocket lining. Mark a 1 cm seam line on the pocket facing. Pin the welt with the stitched pocket bag to the bottom line of the pocket frame. The pocket bag faces up. Place the welt on the top line and pin, aligning the lines and the end of the pocket marking. Sew a welt and a pocket facing onto the front pieces. After stitching, check the distance between the seams. It should be strictly equal to the width of the finished welt. Next, cut the entrance to the pocket in the center between the lines, not reaching the horizontal line. Cut the corners, not reaching 5 mm or 1/16 of an inch to the line. Turn the welt and pocket facing onto the wrong side of the front. Straighten the corners and secure them. Stitch the pocket bag. Overlock or zigzag the pocket bag and the seam allowance of the welt. Press. Now let's do the flap pockets. Sew the lining to the patch pocket allowance, leaving a 3 cm unstitched opening for turning. Press the seam allowance. Go around the pocket, placing the lining right sides together with the pocket, and sew at 5 mm from the edge. Cut the corners, turn them inside out and press. Top stitch along the hem of the pocket. Overlock or zigzag the flap with the flap facing at 5 mm from the edge. Trim the corners and turn them onto the right side. Press, overlock or zigzag the seam allowance and top stitch along the 3 sides of the flap at 5 mm from the edge. Sew the buttonholes. Place the pocket on the markings and top stitch at 5 mm from the edge. Stitch the flap, bend it over, and top stitch at 5 mm from the stitching seam. Press. Let's proceed to the back. Place the back piece between the yokes, made of the main fabric and the lining, matching the cuts and notches. Sew and turn the seam allowance up. Top stitch at 7 mm from the stitching seam. Press. Align the front piece with the top yoke, right sides together along the shoulder cuts. Place the bottom yoke on the top, the right side down. Align the shoulder cuts and pin. Stitch the shoulder cuts. Turn the garment right side out and press it. Overlock or zigzag the side cuts of the front and back, pin and stitch, press the seam allowance. Now it's a sleeve step. Interface and overlock or zigzag the seam allowance on the sleeves. Press the band on the elbow part of the sleeve and top stitch at 5 mm along the band. Fold the sleeve front and elbow pieces right sides inside and stitch along the elbow seam at 1 cm together with the band. Overlock or zigzag the seam allowance and press towards the front of the sleeve. Top stitch along the elbow seam at 5 mm and repeat the same along the band. Make folds. Sew the front seam of the sleeve at 1 cm. Overlock or zigzag the seam allowance and press to the front. Press the cuffs in half. Press one cut at 1 cm. Sew the edges at 7 mm, trim and turn out the corners. Press. Place the cuffs with an open seam allowance to the wrong side of the sleeve and sew in. Press the seam to the cuff side. Close the seam with the pressed cuff allowance and stitch at 2 mm. Press the cuffs. It's time for the collar. Sew stand collars to the top and under collar. Press the seam allowances and top stitch at 2 mm from the seam on both sides of the seam. Place the collars right sides down and sew at 7 mm, trim the corners and turn them onto the right side. Press the collar and top stitch at 5 mm from the seam. Secure the stands and secure the cut. Pin the collar into the neck along the notches, stitch it around with a placket at 1 cm. Edge the sewing seam, press it down and secure the seam allowance. And finally, let's proceed to the garment assembling. Edge the bottom of the garment with the edging tape. Press the seam allowance at 1 cm and top stitch at 2 mm from the edge of the edging tape. Press the bottom. Place the sleeve into the armhole, right side together with the garment, pin along the notches and sew in. Press the feet along the sleeve edge, not going beyond the stitching line with the iron, and overlock it. Direct the allowance onto the garment. Cut the belt loops to the desired length and stitch them to the waistline. Fold the belt right sides inside and sew at 7 mm from the edge, leaving an unstitched opening for turning. Turn it right side out, press it and top stitch at 5 mm along the belt. Sew the buttonholes on the cuffs and the placket. Sew the buttons and give the shacket a final press.